Okay. Hello there. Let's see, do I have audio? Do I have video? Could you lower that a bit, my man? Excuse me, a little bit? Thank you. Alright then. Commercials. Earlier today, I was getting commercials from France. Somehow my YouTube location changed to France, and I was getting commercials in French for like an hour, and I could not figure it out. And finally I figured out, oh, the location changed. No idea how that happened. Okay. Am I here? Am I not? Let's go. Yes, no? Yes, it's me. It's the Nazarite, bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Oh, wow. So good evening. It is Sunday night. For some reason, I thought this was Monday night. I don't know why, but it's Sunday night. So I changed the name of I changed it from March Madness Monday Michigas to Sunday Slop. It's just, same deal. Okay, now there was an interesting comment that came in last night from KPush01 who asked, why does God do crazy things to women who don't bleed after losing their virginity in the Old Testament and the Torah? If God is all-knowing, wouldn't he know that his creation women only bleed like 55% of the time after their first time? Don't mean to sound argumentative, just trying to get as many perspectives as I can. And here is what I told him or her. Traditionally, it's not about the bleeding and it's not about the virginity at all. The written Torah gives us, in most cases, principles, commandments, right? And then it's the oral traditions, the Mishnah, the Talmud, Halacha, that actually specify the ins and the outs and the different stipulations and the meat and potatoes of the commandments, right? The particulars, the specifications of the individual commandments. The important thing from what I've gathered from commentary, the important thing on the surface, it really does look like, what the hell? But when you get into the idea of the oral traditions versus the written Torah, the idea is that the idea with these passages is not to degrade women and not to demean women and not to take away any knowledge from the all-knowing Most High God. It's not whether or not she bleeds, and it's not whether or not she is a virgin. The important thing I told him is that a man cannot do whatever he wants to his bride out of anger or out of spite or rage or discontentment or malevolence. The idea is that the groom can't make this decision on him by himself. He needs to take it to the town elders, to the high court or the local court, not the high court, right? The ruling or governing council of his town, his village, his city, whatever it may be. The Torah is saying just because you think something happened or didn't happen doesn't give you the permission to do anything about it as such. You need to take it higher. You can't do things on your own, even if your blood is boiling and you think that you married somebody who was promiscuous, or right? Now, our sages in the Talmud and in the Mishnah, for that matter, were well aware of the fact that the hymen can be broken or ruptured or non-existent for all kinds of reasons, right? And it has nothing to do with sexual conduct. Sometimes it's, and different circumstances are put forth in the oral traditions that would cause the hymen to break, meaning they were aware that the hymen is not the end-all be-all of virginity. And they were aware of the fact that some women don't bleed, some don't bleed as much, some bleed profusely. So the idea is that those verses, those passages are there to say you need to take it higher. You can't make a decision like that on your own when it's matters, let's say, of life and death. And even though in that moment a groom may feel cheated and may feel deceived and, oh, what, she's not a virgin, or blah, 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 blah. Again, it's not about bleeding or virginity or degrading women or putting them in their place, and it's not about giving men all the power over the women. It's about the individual and the community, and the fact that even though it is a married couple thing, when it comes to things of life and death, even if it's this thing of purity and virginity and I don't know what, you cannot make that decision on your own. You must take it higher, whether it's because it's too close to you and personal, or whether it's because one person can make a mistake, but a congregation, a ruling council, less inclined to make a mistake because there are different minds there, different people there who think in different ways. So That's what I answered, or that's the way that I addressed that. Okay, let's continue. D80H High says, Bahuk Ata. It's Baruch, but Bahuk will work too. Starboy Knight is here again. Hey, Starboy Knight, how you doing? I broke my leg by pooping, says E-Dog. How did you manage that? I mean, presumably you were sitting down or crouching or squatting. How could you break your leg under those circumstances? And if you broke your leg pooping, I mean, really, explain it to me. How did that happen? I would love to hear the story. Truly, I would. Mebra says, howdy, bro. Hello to you. Jerry Joseph, are you a Zionist? Yes, I'm a biblical Zionist and a modern-day Zionist, but I don't follow it blindly, nor do I approve of everything that certain people do in the name of Zionism. But yes, definitely yes. Israel number one, says underrated God. Well, I wouldn't say we're number one, but if we are one of many, right? I don't go for that Jewish supremacy stuff. Like I've said before many times, it's too akin to, pride, arrogance, vanity, and if not akin to it, it definitely has the capacity to bring it about. So I try to stay away from that, definitely. Hymen Destroyer. Yes, exactly. The hymen can be destroyed for all kinds of reasons. Someone needs a haircut, says Heracleotis. Heracleotis? Yeah, someone might. Not me. That's for sure. We love all, says Starboy Knight. Indeed, that's the goal, right? It's not possible necessarily, absolutely, to love everyone, because that's like wishful thinking. But to go in that path, in that way of love is better than hate, peace is better than war, and so on. Eric Boggs is here. What's up, man? It's good to see you. Very good to see you. Eiler is here. Shalom, shalom to you. It's been a long time. Israel number 10, says Pixel Pulse. Exactly. See, whether it's 1, whether it's a 1 and a 0, these are all numbers. They're kind of meaningless. E-Dog says, when I was releasing a festering log inside me, from the power my leg instantly snapped and shattered. That is one log that you must have been harboring. Sorry, E-Dog. But you know what? Hopefully you had your legs set and it didn't shatter completely. And I mean, are you still pooping right now as we speak? The people need to know. Bro, do you stand with Palestine or Israel? Says Islam with Hamoud. Well, I mean, I'm Israeli, but I don't think, but I think we need peace, and peace comes from both sides, and I think both sides make many mistakes. The leadership, definitely, of both sides. Free Palestine from the river to the sea, says Jerry Joseph. I agree. May Palestine be free of the oppressive, religious, extremist regime, the bloodthirsty, warmongering leaders that it has, that oppress their own people and steal their money. May it be free of all of that, and may we know peace. Robert Harrison is here. Hey, Robert Harrison. Henry Lambert says, peace in love. Peace in love, peace and love. It's all good. God willing. Underrated says, it says in the Torah, the Jewish are the chosen people. Yes, we are the chosen people, but to say that is to virtue signal. And to say it without anything to back it up is also to be, I think, proud and vain and arrogant. So I don't go with the chosen thing. I go with selected, right? We were selected for a certain task. Other nations were selected for other tasks. That's simply the way that it goes. And I've heard it likened to an elder brother among many siblings, where, yeah, sure, there's maybe something that they were the first, but doesn't mean that they're better than anyone else, and I certainly don't think that I'm better than anyone else. And I think that if people, Jews, are going to be taking that road of we are the chosen ones, then you need to back it up. Otherwise, it's just meaningless, pointless virtue signaling, for sure. Love thy neighbor, says Chris LXXXIX. Indeed, love thy neighbor. Well, he said they. I'm assuming he meant thy. I can actually smell this streaming, says EIP. Yes, you can. Definitely. What you're smelling is chai. I love a good cup of chai. Okay. So yeah, underrated God. It does say that we are chosen, but chosen for what? And if we don't do what we are chosen for, do we still get to use the title chosen? I don't think so. How is charity going, says Eiler. Well, I didn't put my tax information in yet. I'm still waiting on that. But as soon as I do that, and the money is in my bank account, I'll be able to give it. And I still don't know, and I'll have a poll going maybe in the next week or two on where to give it to, or if to split it up and give it to a few different charities. I don't know what, but it's going well. Let's put it that way. Wash your hair, dude, says Gunnut304. I do wash my hair regularly, though I could see why you might think I don't. Thou shall not kill, says Chris. Actually, the Bible does not say that. It says thou shalt not commit murder. It doesn't say thou shalt not kill. That's yet another mistranslation of the Hebrew. Love someone if you can, says Henry Lambert. I agree. Love is good. Love someone if you can. Islam says, bro, do you support Israel or Palestine? Bro, do you support Israel or Palestine? I support Israel, but it's not a question of Israel or Palestine, right? It's a question of how can we make peace. That's the thing. And how can we have peace between Israel and its neighbors? Will it be through war and bloodshed, or will it be through love and embracing our humanity? But right now, people are making mistakes on both sides. Leadership on both sides is making plenty of mistakes, but Israel has extended its hand time and time and time again, and it has been rejected by the Palestinian leadership time and time and time again. That is what we see. Hebrew Hyksos, says Starboy, are the bridge between Jews and Arabs in Scripture. What are Hyksos or Hyksos? I don't know that. I don't know what that is. How many Nazarite dreadlocks you got, asks Robert. Well, look, it depends. For instance, this is like a major Congo. Do you consider it 1? Do you consider it 2? Do you consider it 3, 4, 5, 6? That is 6. I don't know, so I really haven't counted. I have a few, but it really does depend on how you look at it. If you go with just the root, I suppose it's, because I have, like, let's say this one that just started a few months ago. Does that stand on its own? On the other hand, I have something like this one, which is huge and which goes as well into several. So it's difficult to tell. So I don't know how many I've got. I know that people say that Samson had 7 locks. I don't know how many I've got. Oy vey, says Underrated God. Indeed, oy vey. I agree. Disgusting, says N. Collins. Thank you. So many compliments in the chat this evening. Mo says, I am from Saudi Arabia. Are you coming for us too? No, as far as I know, Israel and Saudi Arabia are not at odds with each other. Yap, 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 says Youngblood SXR. Indeed, I am quite the yapper. I yap like it ain't no thing. Do you support the IDF withholding baby formula, says Irving Zisman. What? Do you mean withholding or withholding? And as far as I know, the IDF were at... Whoa, could you lower that, man? The IDF... Still, lower it. If you please. The IDF... I don't know if they're withholding baby formula or not. I know that they were giving humanitarian aid and continue to give humanitarian aid even in the midst of this ongoing conflict. So I don't know what you've got against them. I mean, I know what you've got against them, obviously. The IDF, like any establishment, like any military force, makes mistakes as well. The doctrine of the IDF, however, is not to eliminate and genocide the people of Gaza or the West Bank, which is why they act in the way that they do. And of course, mistakes are made, and of course, psychos and heinous people are part of any military. Hopefully, those people will be thwarted and put on trial for their crimes. But the IDF at large are not that type of an army. I know, I served there for almost 20 years. Do you think the Rebbe is the Mashiach, says Noise Like? No, I think the Rebbe of Lubavitch, right, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneelson, is dead. So if he's dead, he can't be the Messiah. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, this is propaganda by Be Blessed, says Missy Mooley. Everything is propaganda. What isn't propaganda? But no, I'm very much a critical thinker, and I am critical of the establishment. I am critical of my government. I am critical of the military. But I also lived here all of my life, so I know a little bit about what's going on, things that I saw with my own eyes as well as a civilian and as a military man. Banking Scam says, do you have a kippah? No, the Nazarite does not wear a kippah. Some do. I don't. The hair of the Nazarite is called a crown of separation, a crown of consecration, and the kippah, right, and that's deoraita from the Torah. The kippah is a relatively new addition, which is the Rabbanan from the sages, and so the Torah takes precedence over the sages in that sense. Dave Lynn says, hope everyone is well and pray for peace and peace, love, and prosperity. Amen. Peace, love, and prosperity. It can be done. We can make it happen. I have no idea how it will come about, or when, under what circumstances, but that's where we are heading. I don't know if it will be through love. I don't know if it will be through war. I don't know if it will be through embracing each other or through bloodshed, but we are going there for sure. Bro, just shave your head, says Blurred Lines. Nope, the Nazarite is not allowed to shave his or her head. We are commanded to grow our hair out. So, no. Which wall in your home do you headbutt, says SOS62 Bird. Any wall, really, depending on my mood. If I'm upstairs, I'll butt some wall there. If I'm downstairs here, I'll, headbutt whatever wall is closest. That's the one that I'll headbutt, is what I'm thinking. Yeah. Why not brush hair, says Chronic Carlos? Because the Nazarite is not allowed to use a brush or a comb. We are allowed to use our hands and fingers to manipulate and separate, but I don't do that either of late. Okay, is the Rebbe the Mashiach? So no, I don't think that he is, but no. Other people do. You look intelligent, says man's best friend. Well, looks can be deceiving. I am a dumbass in the Middle East with a phone. That is all I am. Probably all I ever will be, and that's fine by me. How long have you been growing your hair, says Fawaz? I've been under the Nazarite vow for about 15 years, and I was growing it for a few years before that, so give or take 17, 18 years, something like that. Yeah. Dude, go shower, says Trip2112. I do shower regularly. I also shampoo and condition regularly. I just let it grow wild, which is why it looks like that. Alex Jenna says, you look a little crazy. I am a little crazy, sometimes more than a little, sometimes less than a little, but definitely I'm crazy. And as I love to quote Seal, right, we're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. That's what I'm saying. Irving says, what's your view on Netanyahu? That he needs to go. That's my view on Netanyahu. Do you believe Hezbollah, says Gooning Addict 69? About what? What am I supposed to be believing? What have they said? Are you Jewish? BBQ Sauce says. Yes, I am, of the Kingdom of Judah. Do you eat animals? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It just jumped. I'm not sure who said that. Oh, Joe. Do you eat animals? Nope, I am vegan. Do you eat animals, people? Are you vegetarian? Are you vegan? Carnivore? Omnivore? Are you a fruitarian? Unless we get a little crazy, that's right, man's best friend, we're never going to survive. Correct. Irving Zisman says, fuck Net and Yahoo. Well, look, he's probably going to be put on trial, locally, internationally. Whatever comes of that, comes of that. I hope that justice will be served one way or the other, right? Peace and justice go hand in hand. And if he did commit these crimes, he needs to be put to trial, and eventually justice needs to be served, and truth needs to out. And so I don't have anything against him one way or another. I just think he needs to go. He's been leader of this country long enough. I haven't voted in about 20 years, and I will vote in the next election just to get him out of the office of the prime minister. I don't know who I'm voting for, what platform I'll be supporting, what party I'll be supporting. I'm not a fan of politics or of voting or of parties, for that matter. I believe that it's an illusion and a game, and I think that the ones who we elect into office are actually not the ones who are in control. I think they are more marionettes, right, dancing on the strings of those who were not elected. So I might be wrong. Okay. Mezeg ha'avir sham. How is the weather? Wait, hold on. It just jumped. The weather right now is pretty chilly in Jerusalem. It was raining for the last few days, on and off. We had some heavy, momentary but heavy lightning and thunder. It was stormy. Gooning Addict 69, he said my name. Yes, I did, Gooning Addict. And while we're at it, no judgment, but maybe get some help if you are a Gooning Addict. How much gold are you carrying right now? Sean O'Brien says. This is the gold I'm carrying, just my wedding ring. That's pretty much it. Holt ZY says, Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live. Indeed we do, despite what many people would like to see, which is us, all slain and gone, and Israel wiped from the face of the earth. That is not the case. Much the pity, as far as they're concerned. Rainy Girl says, I'm a Nazarite. Indeed, are you, Rainy Girl 65? That's pretty cool. I'm pure veg, says Soviet Union. Yep, there's nothing like being vegan. Quite nothing like being vegan. Tov lishmoa ani be'eilat. Voila. Eilat is the southernmost city in the state of Israel, and to me, it's very much a vacation city. But to me, it will always and ever be associated with my basic training in the army, which was pretty close to Eilat. Do you smoke the reefer? Asks Griffin. Nope, I haven't smoked in a long time. Well, it's a long time. I no longer partake. I'm a fan of cannabis, but I don't smoke cannabis anymore. It was raining missiles or water, says Magical Train. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Are you messianic? Jessica asks. No, I am not messianic. I think Jesus is a dead man, and that's pretty much it. He could have been a potential king, prophet, messiah, but he died, and that's it. And even if you claim that he was resurrected, no problem with that, but he is not a God incarnate. That's what I always say. You need a fucking haircut talking about gold. Hey, I didn't bring it up. I just told him that this is the gold I was carrying. That's pretty much it. As for needing a fucking haircut, Nisty on the track. No, I don't think I do. I think I want to let my hair grow as the scripture commands. What is that picture on the wall behind you? Asks Matthew. Well, my wife's grandmother was a painter, and we have many of her painting, I guess between 10 and 20 of her paintings all around the apartment. So what it is, it's still life, right? Still nature, flowers. That's the picture. And it's a painting, it's an original. We have originals. I have a couple of prints from a friend of mine whose father is an artist, and most of the art that we have hanging up here is original paintings by my wife's grandmother. Let's continue. My friend brush hair. Well, I already said Nazarites cannot brush their hair. Do you want the third temple, says the church? No, I think that we can transcend the temple. I think we can transcend the physical ritual worship, but it is a means to an end. And so if we come to a point where it will really be able to be a house of love and prayer and worship for all mankind, then I'm on board. But even then, it's just a means to an end. The temple was always and ever supposed to facilitate the unification of the masculine divine presence and the feminine divine presence and bring about a unity. But we can transcend the temple. We can transcend the garments of the priests and the songs of the Levites and the fasting of the Israelites and the ritual worship and the blood and the wine and the water and the oil. We can transcend all of that. We are the original temple. We are made in the image of God, all of us, humankind. So do I want it? Not necessarily, but it would be very good if it would come about in a way of peace and love and understanding. And if we will be able to reach that point, then yes, have it be let there be a temple, a third temple, a vegan temple for all mankind, and that will not be destroyed, God willing. Okay, scrolling down in the chat. Scrolling down. Comb your hair, hobo. Yes, I do indeed look like a hobo, MK Ultra TV. MK Ultra, that was one hell of a thing. I mean, the CIA, it's amazing the things that they get away with. And that all intelligence agencies have their fingers everywhere and all of this manipulation of consciousness and of awareness. It's something unbelievable how much the little guy, and I don't exclude myself from that equation, of course. I am the little guy. It's amazing how little we know about what goes on behind the scenes with these organizations. MK Ultra is one of those things where it's unbelievable that it even took place, and certain things that we'll never find out about that are going on right now, whether it's CIA or whether it's Mossad or I don't know what. You look like a propaganda poster, ha 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 ha, says K-Sauce. Yes, I do. People have said if I drew you, I would be arrested for anti-Semitism. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu, melech ha'olam, she'akol nihye bidvaro. Oh, there's nothing like a warm cup of chai. Well, hot cup of chai. It is 10:04 p.m. here in Jerusalem. 280 people, 35 likes, and I deeply appreciate it. I don't take it for granted that I click go live and boom, there's a conversation, there's engagement, there's insults and vitriol and encouragement and talking Torah and psychology and wash your hair and you look like this and you're that. I don't take it for granted. It's an amazing thing. It really, truly is. EIP says, please explain how Jewish have unnecessarily extended their hands to Palestinian many times, unnecessarily, unsuccessfully. Because the rest of us, the world sees you expanding your colony. Well, first of all, you can't be a colonizer without a mother state. This is the mother state. It's the Romans who colonized this place and called it Palestine. So Palestinians, if they want to stick to the name Palestine, are Roman colonizers, although obviously they're not from Rome. As for how, ever since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, there have been between 10 and 14 agreements that were on the table, the most generous, to use the phrase, of which is that the Palestinian leadership, right, Arafat and the PLO, were promised East Jerusalem as their capital, most of the West Bank, if not all of it, and most of Gaza, if not all of it, and they rejected it without even looking at it. Arafat, Abu Ammar, turned his car around without even coming to the negotiation table. This has happened time and time and time again, between 10 and 14 times where there was a peace agreement on the table, and the Palestinian leadership, not the people, the leadership rejected it, because the leadership is not interested in peace. The Palestinian leadership is interested in perpetuating the status of the refugee among the Palestinians, keep them poor, right? Keep them in squalor, keep them stricken by their own government and the Israeli government, by the terrorists of Hamas, Fatah, and the Al-Aqsa Brigade, and by the soldiers of the IDF. Keep them down, and then they won't be able to, right, keep them oppressed and keep them between a rock and a hard place. And the leadership, meanwhile, grows fat on and they're millionaires, right? The Hamas folk, the Hamas top brass, they are millionaires, literally millionaires, living in luxury in Qatar, not giving two shits about what goes on in Gaza. And every single Gazan that dies, and there are a lot of innocent people there, every single one is a joy for Hamas and a tragedy for Israel. And they are literally killing their own people, blaming Israel. And of course, Israel makes mistakes, no doubt about it. And I've said that to begin with. But how Jews have unsuccessfully extended their hands? Exactly like that. If you look at it, and don't take my word for it, do the research. Ask GPT or Gemini or Claude or whoever you want, or go to an actual physical encyclopedia, and you will see that over the years, almost 80 years now, there have been between 10 and 14 different agreements on the table. So if you're saying, oh, no, the Palestinian leadership is definitely a partner for peace, they were an active participant in the peace process, then okay, baby steps. Make an agreement on A, and then move on to B and C and D, and then make it happen. And then you could say, no, why should they, right, and I've said this before, why should they settle? They want all or nothing. It's like, that's not how you make peace. Israel has given up a lot in its seeking peace. It did it with Jordan, it did it with Egypt, okay? It's going to do it with people in the Abraham Accords. We have extended our hands to so many countries so many times. And it doesn't mean that Israel is blameless. Like I said, I am critical of the government and the IDF, right, inside and outside of this country. There are things that are going on that are not okay, certain settlements that are not okay. But to vilify Israel as such, just for being the modern-day Jewish state, that's racist and bigot and wrong. People do it anyway because it's nice to hate the Jews, and it gives them something to rally around, of course. And the Arab world, the Muslim world, doesn't care about the Palestinians either, or, Jordan controlled the West Bank of the Jordan River for almost 20 years. Egypt controlled Gaza for almost 20 years. Why didn't they establish a Palestinian state? I wonder. Okay, scrolling down in the chat, let us continue. How do you finish your Nazirut without a third Beit HaMikdash, says Blachman wedding? I don't. I'm a Samson Nazarite, and that's for life. But a Nazarite for a set period of time, you are allowed to take such a vow. So you're allowed to take the Nazariteship vow from 30 days onward. So let's say I took it for 30 days, and I end my 30 days. Without a temple, my vow de facto continues, and when the temple is built, then I will be able to bring my offerings and fulfill the vow and completely do it, burn the hair next to the altar, and drink the wine, and do the whole thing. In the book of Maccabees, it's mentioned that there were Nazarites who had fulfilled their days, but could not fulfill their vow, so that type of thing. It means that you remain de facto a Nazarite until the temple is built. But a Samson Nazarite is for life, and you're not allowed to cut your hair. And because of different circumstances, that's the one that was for me, and that's the one that is for me. I'm taking it for life, God willing. Okay, let's continue. I love Jews, says Donna. We are the chosen people, but oh, we are so hunted and persecuted. I don't believe I said we are hunted and persecuted. Also, I don't think we are the chosen people. I don't like that terminology, right? There's a covenant between God and Israel. So far, so good. But once again, to use those terms, chosen people, that's just asking, that's asking for trouble. All right, scrolling down in the chat. You look stinky. Nope, not so much. But obviously it's me smelling myself, so I won't smell it. Hey boy, do I stink? No, didn't think so. Wait. Your time was up 10 minutes ago, man.
What?
Yeah, turn it off.
Whoever told you you stink, they stink.
The cat box says, get a job. I do have a job. I've had a wonderful career, and when is it? In about 8 days, I will be 11 years with this current career, and it's unbelievable. I am so grateful, so thankful. I have known times of being unemployed for a few months here and there. I have known years of working dead-end jobs, retail, security, things like that. And I'm so grateful, so thankful to have a place that that's an actual career. I'm a writer. It's what I do. I love words. So I do have a job. Thanks a lot, the cat box. I do appreciate it. And people, if you don't have a job, I hope you do get a job. If you have a job but you want a career, I hope you get a career. Dare to go further, whether it's education, whether it's asking for that promotion, whether it's going the extra mile to be noticed. Don't overdo it. But definitely, I really do hope that you'll be able to reach a point where you are getting what you are worth. There is nothing quite like being paid what you are worth. So whether you think that being a salaried employee is being a sap, whether you think that working a corporate job is hell, it's amazing, this internet thing, and it is helping people to just be themselves and be compensated for it, and it's an amazing thing. Okay. There is no Palestine, says more. So there are people who were living under the British mandate of Palestine. That much is true. And those people have a lineage going back hundreds of years, maybe even more. But there is no such thing as a Palestinian people. That much is correct. There was never a Palestinian nation, flag, leader, currency. That's pretty much an invention of the 20th century, more so an invention of the 1960s, with the whole identity being something to push against the Jewish state of Israel. Autumn says, Nazarite like Jesus of Nazareth, or Israelite like we hadn't yet built Israel. What? I don't quite understand what you're talking about there, Autumn, but okay. Also, Jesus, from what I've heard from different Christians and followers of Jesus, it's in dispute whether or not he was a Nazarite, because he was a Nazarene, meaning of Nazareth, Yeshua Notzrin, min Natzrat, but there's evidence that he was a Nazarite according to some Christians, and evidence against that according to some Christians, so I have no idea. Super chat came in. Super chat came in, says, David, may I ask what you believe will happen when your Mashiach comes back to settle an argument? I am Christian Orthodox. Peace be with you. So David, nobody knows precisely what will go down and what will happen when Mashiach does arrive. First of all, there are different messiahs. You can have a messiah, you can have a king, an anointed king that's not from the house of David, that's not from the tribe of Judah, that's just a king of Israel, like many before him. And then you have the idea of the final Messiah, right? The Messiah, capital T-H-E, who is supposed to bring about this great shift, this great change, this difference in the world, and pretty much bring about those times of what's called the world to come, or the coming world. We arrive back in Eden, we partake of the fruit of the tree of life, death and suffering and wickedness is taken away from creation, just like in Eden it came into creation. So what do I believe will happen? I believe that a Messiah will be able to settle, if you're talking about settling an argument, it will be able to settle an argument, and that argument will be first and foremost among the people of Israel, right? The Maimonides Rambam said that if there is a leader who rallies the people, returns them to the Torah, returns them to the commandments, and fights the enemies of Israel, and is able to build the third temple, or make steps to begin building the third temple, that person is definitely worthy of being called Messiah. However, there are people at any given moment, even right now as I'm speaking, there are people who are contenders for the throne. Always, in every time, every generation, every passing day, somebody dies, somebody is born who is a potential Messiah. The question is not, is there a Messiah? The question is, do we merit the revelation of this individual, and will we be able, the people of Israel, to rally around them? Will we actually have a consensus? Will we anoint them? Will we crown them? Will we receive them? Will we be able to bear, right, their rule and accept their sovereignty? And for that to happen, there will have to be either something internal or external that comes and shows us this is happening. This is the way it's going to go down. There's your man. It could be a prophet, right? Or it could be a leader who grows in the political world, right? But that makes a change that's so vast and so unbelievable that the people go after him. I don't know how it will happen. But if we're talking about the final Messiah, right? That already is a time when we are one unified human race, right? When God pours his spirit upon all flesh, as it says in the book of Yoel, and when we are able to reach back to Eden, partake of the fruit of the tree of life, and usher in that coming world, the Olam Haba, as it's known. And like I said, that's the final Messiah. But a king of Israel as such, even if it's not the final Messiah, right? Even it could very well be that there will be 10 or 20 kings of Israel from now until that final one of the house of David, of the tribe of Judah, traditionally. But until then, it could be from any tribe. It could be at any time, at any place. The question is, it's up to us. It literally is up to us. Will we be able to accept the king? I don't know. So if it's just any king, right, then it would be rallying the people, returning them to the Torah, returning them to the commandments, vanquishing or making peace with the enemies of Israel, and taking steps to build the third temple. But if you're talking about the final Messiah, that already is something that's not just Israel, but global on a human level, right? Humanity phase 2. That's how I see it. Okay, D-Ding says, what's your body count? 1, I married my first girlfriend. I met her at 16, married her at 20. We've been married for 23 years, almost, in a month? No, in a couple of months it'll be 23 years. Very happy with my decision. I don't know how I would have done in the dating world, and sometimes I wonder about that. And I'm a very curious individual, and I'm also a very sexual individual, but I'm very, very happy with the choice I made. Would not have it any other way. She's my woman, my soul sister, my bride, my one and only, and that's the way I would want it. That's my body count. Yes?
Isn't a body count how many people you've dated?
No.
Oh, it's how many people you've married?
No. Bitcoin Prophecy says, if God can be uncreated, why can this exemption not be applied to us, our collective awareness? Who created us, he says, and our dream leads to the same regress. But waking shows it was all ourselves. Okay, here's the deal. I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. The revelations of God are many and varied, but I never truly know the nature of the Creator, because I am a creation. God is untouchable, unknowable, unthinkable, unfathomable, and I will never know the true nature of the divine for my own nature, right? Because I am that. So, if you're saying God can be uncreated, you know that maybe. I have no idea what God can and cannot do, what God can and cannot be. All I know is that different revelations of God exist, right? We know them as the 10 Sfirot, we know them as the tree of life, we know them as the right, the left, and the middle pillars, different ways, right? We know them as the human being manifesting and personifying the image of God. That's why we are called made in the image of God. That's why we are called, right? We are partners in creation for that reason. So let's read this again, taking all that into account. If God can be uncreated, so I don't know what you mean by that, but okay, why can this exemption not be applied to us? It definitely can. Collective awareness, okay? There is this individual consciousness, and there is a collective consciousness. And the idea of humanity all being part of one organism, right? And humanity is the universe asking why. That idea definitely has merit, and different thinkers, sages, and philosophers have debated this and have spoken of it at length. The thing is that why can't it be applied? Everything can be applied to us, except for divinity in the sense of being the divine. Anything else can indeed be applied to us because we are made in the image of God. And to the degree that one personifies and externalizes and internalizes that divine image, then they can transcend their limitations. Then they can transcend that, to expand that collective awareness and their own individual awareness. So if you're talking about a dream state and a waking state, and you're showing that it's all ourselves, I'm inclined to say that is correct. I mean, maybe I'm not understanding you properly, but I'm inclined to agree with you. Okay. Narvazan says, I came to Israel to walk in the footsteps of Christ and decided to stay in the Galilee near Kfar Nahum. What would you say? Would you say Jesus was the purest Jew ever? No, I wouldn't say he was the purest Jew ever, but I don't know. There's no such thing as being, like, purity is something that comes and goes. Ritual purity, ritual cleanliness, this is something that comes and goes, ebbs and flows, right? There's the lows and the tides. And that's part of nature. What I'm saying is that even if he was the purest Jew ever, it was only ever temporary because he fell asleep. And that's a little bit of being unclean, because he had an emission of semen, conscious or unconscious, likely, and that makes you unclean, right? Because maybe he touched a dead body, or maybe do you see what I'm saying? So there are degrees of uncleanliness, degrees of ritual impurity, which make you unable. It gives you like a spiritual disability temporarily. That's all that is. Sometimes you are pure, sometimes you are impure. It's not a question of clean or dirty. It's ritually clean or ritually unclean. So the purest Jew ever, I have no idea. I wasn't around at the time, but I will say that if I was around at the time of Jesus, there is a chance I would have followed him myself. Because I read the New Testament once, I loved the gospel, the rest of it I didn't like at all, really. But the gospel really spoke to me. And I'm thinking if I was around at the time, maybe I would have followed him as well. As for staying, that is awesome. Good for you. There's nothing like the Kinneret. The Kinneret is awesome. The Sea of Galilee is beautiful. And it's I love it every time I go up there. It's great. Take a shower, my guy, says Joseph Tubb. Thanks, man. I appreciate the suggestion. I will take it under advisement. Okay. Kanabai says, why you guys are so evil? I don't know if you're talking about me or the chat, and either way the answer is because human beings have the capacity for good and for bad, for wickedness, right, and for good. Bro, says Thomas, you know Torah well, I can't tell ritual impurity. Yep, I don't think these folks understand basic Torah, Pardes, etc. Oh, that's irrelevant, Thomas. I mean, I get it. And plus, I don't say that I know Torah well, because what's to know Torah well? I love the Torah, I'm a student of the Tree of Life, and I love studying Torah all the time. But, as far as I'm concerned, we're just talking, right? It's just a dialogue. We're discussing faith and spirituality and religion, self-development and showers and shaves and whatnot. So it's all good. It really, really is all good. Okay. Oh, a couple of super chats came in. Hang on a second. I feel like I'm the Messiah, says Reggie, but not the same. Well, okay, if you're feeling like you need to be anointed, then work towards that. Speak to God, right? If you're not already, definitely do that. Have you been actually anointed? I don't know. If you haven't, it might come. I don't know. It depends on the people, right? If it's not a prophet that anoints the king, because not every time the king needed to be anointed. If it was a succession of father to son, let's say, then an anointing did not have to take place. But if there was a dispute on who is to rule and who is to take the throne, then the chosen king would receive the crown and would be anointed. The kings of Judah would be anointed with persimmon, if I'm not mistaken, oil, and the kings of Israel with olive oil, I think, and traditionally by a river or a stream of some kind. Narvazin says, I see no wrongs in Jesus' teachings, I really don't. Hey, fair enough, there's no reason to see anything wrong with his teachings. The thing is that I know from reading the New Testament that the teachings of Yeshua, the teachings of Jesus are one thing, those who followed him are another thing. And I saw in the letters and in the Acts and in Revelation how things veered way off from Torah. And that's something where I go, nope, that's a no for me, dog. Christians, followers of Jesus, Messianics, whatever, it's all good. I, as a Hebrew man who wants to follow Torah, cannot abide, because even if Jesus was pure, and even if Jesus was a potential Messiah, and king, and prophet, and all that, it still doesn't make him a god. And that's where I draw the line. So, as far as teachings are concerned, I could have followed him around myself, perhaps, and I would have been happy to call him master. I would have been happy to call him rabbi. But to go afterwards, after his death, and to say, and to really change things around, and specifically, right, in the letters to the Hebrews, where I was like, this is what you're telling the Hebrews? How is that going to persuade anybody? I mean, it didn't work on me, let's put it that way. But I do understand why you're saying that you don't see anything wrong with the teachings. The teachings themselves, the parables that he spoke, and the things that he did, I saw nothing wrong with them either. And I don't go for the Talmudic, for the Babylonian Talmud thing, the teaching or the opinion that says that he is boiling in excrement. I'm like, no, tzo'ar otachat, I don't think so. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I'm not a believer in hell in that sense. Purgatory, to some degree, tofet, right, as it's known, or Gehinam, but not like the Christian hell. So I don't think it's for eternity. And many Jews also go with that. But some people say that no, Yeshua is the exception, one of 3 or 4 exceptions, and he is burning and boiling excrement for all eternity. So from reading the New Testament, albeit only one time, I say, no. On the other hand, I don't take the gospel as gospel, right? I don't take it as something that teaches me anything to do with faith, right? Or doctrine or ritual or I don't know what. I take it as a wisdom, let's say. And indeed, there is a lot of wisdom in the gospel. Not religion for me, not faith for me, but definitely wisdom, for sure. God is holy, says Reggie. His children should be the same. Well, look, to be holy means to be separated, consecrated, set apart. The people of Israel who keep Torah and commandments, they set themselves apart, whether it's what they eat and drink, how they speak, how they dress, how they worship, right? Those are all things which separate us from the other nations. Separation does not mean supremacy. Separation simply means this is the path that we have been instructed to follow. This is the Torah. These are our traditions. These are our commandments. This is the covenant that we hold to, and the rest of the nations can do whatever they want. Not everybody is supposed to be a Jew. Not everybody is supposed to follow Torah. Now, there is the idea of the 7 Noahide laws, and that the righteous Gentiles ought to be Noahides and all of that, but that I could take that or leave that. I think that also could, take it or leave it. DMZ says, DMH, how do you do your hair like that? Nothing, it just grows like that. It's natural, it's just natural hair, that's all that it is. Scrolling down in the chat, scrolling down. That's favorite, not holy. No, you're mistaken. If you're referring to what I'm saying, the Dark Lord Kargan, favorite is favorite. I don't think God plays favorites. I don't know what God does or doesn't do. I know that we are instructed in the Torah to separate ourselves in such ways, right? In what we wear and how we speak and what we eat and what we do and the way we behave, all of that, right? Just like I separated myself with the Nazarite ship, just like I separated myself from all others to my woman. In the very same way, we separate ourselves with the entirety of the Torah and the commandments and the covenant that we hold to. Once again, it doesn't make us better, more important, more holy. It makes us holy as Israelites, right? Because we stick to the Torah and the commandments and we separate ourselves just so. But it doesn't make us better. Other nations find other ways to separate themselves as well. And this too is only temporary, because there will come a time, God willing, when all of the things separating us will be knocked away. All of the walls and all of the boundaries and all of the borders and all of the differences that we bicker and fight over, the infighting, the outfighting, right? The in-group, the out-group, the tribalism that tears us apart as a human species will eventually be made to just go away. I don't know how it will come about, but we are meant for more than this. Let's continue. To Keter, says Thomas. Indeed, Keter. Keter Elyon Ihu Keter Malchut. From top to bottom, from bottom to top. Go ruin another country, says LJ. Okay, gladly. I'm doing it right now. I am ruining souls. Okay. Another super chat came in. O Israel, he says, the people that wrestle with God. Yes, that's what Yisrael means, among other things. Redeem Israel, O God, for all their troubles. I have Messianic Jewish friends. I wish for peace. I have had in the past Jewish Messianic chavruta, right? Chavrutot, study partners. I've known a few Messianic Jews. I have nothing against them. I don't quite see sometimes how they reconcile certain things with seeing it from the Messianic perspective, but it's certainly interesting to learn with them and talk with them and have dialogues with them, not debates, but dialogues, right? Because I'm not looking to debate anybody. I'm not looking to change anyone's opinion. I'm not looking to shift anyone's views. It's just a dialogue, and as you can tell, I love to talk and I love to discuss matters. Truly, I do. And it's very lovely to be able to converse with you, good people. Are you Zionist? Says Aziz. Yes, I am. I am a biblical Zionist and a modern day Zionist. I mean, a modern day Zionist, but I don't follow it blindly, right? Like I said, I don't like what certain people are doing in the name of Zionism, and I condemn certain people, and I condemn certain actions that are done in the name of Zionism. Not everything that a Zionist does is good. Not everything done in the name of Zionism is good. Zionism needs to really, really hold to its origins and not get lost in the post-Zionist dream world. It really, really needs to do that. And the part of the way to do that, if not the only way, is through Torah and commandments. That is our origin. That is where we come from. That is what we are doing. Oh, of course you do, but you won't point it out. I don't know what you're talking about, Trey, but okay, because I'm not following. Incidentally, people, I can't follow everything in the chat. There are 260 something people here. God bless. It's so much fun to discuss these lovely issues with you. However, that means that I can't get to every single chat. I do, however, get to every single comment that I get and that I'm notified of, right, or that I happen to read, and I address every single comment that is addressed to me. So please, if I miss your chat, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's not because I don't want to answer it. I don't shy away from a difficult discussion or admitting certain things. I'm relatively open-minded and open-hearted, so I don't fear having contention, right? By all means, push back. By all means, fact check me, truly. But if you don't get to do it in the chat, leave me a comment or DM me, regardless of what you want to say, whether it's an insult or an encouragement or a question, or you can DM me, Hebrew Nazarite, on, look for my tree, right? On X, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and here. And yeah, well, let's make it happen. Another super chat came in. I think I saw from the corner of my eye something else come in. How do you feel when I say free Palestine? I feel great. Palestine should be free of Hamas. Palestine should be free of its oppressive, extremist religious leadership. Palestine should be free of the people who oppress it truly, whether it's people in the IDF or whether it's people in its own government who are warmongering, bloodthirsty savages who would love to see every Palestinian man, woman, and child sacrificed for the cause. They don't care how many people they kill. They don't care how many people die. All they want is to grow rich and fat. They took all of the aid money, they invested it in terrorism, they didn't build up the infrastructure, they didn't make bomb shelters, nothing, not a thing. They just got rich and fat. And of course they blamed Israel for it, but the truth will out. Stop spamming the chat, says just a simple name. Hey man, spammer's gonna spam. What are you gonna do? This is partly, this is part of the thing. I don't ban anybody. I don't put people in timeouts. I have no mods, right? There's no moderation on this channel because I think it should be a free platform as much as the YouTube guidelines will allow. And a free platform means a lot of spammers, a lot of haters, a lot of would-be keyboard warriors. What are you gonna do? That's the nature of it, unfortunately. But the thing is, the fortunate part, right, the other side of that coin is that people come here and they truly have discussions, and it's awesome, whether it's with me over here or whether it's among themselves in the chat. Do you play Fortnite, asks Bloat219. No, my kids do, and I enjoy watching them play Battle Royale, but I'm not a player. I tried to play it once, I guess a year and a half ago. I did not do well. So no, definitely not. Sir, are you a wizard, says Yassine, or do you know magic? No, I'm not a wizard and I don't know magic, but that's about it. Good day, says Saturn. Do you think in this lifetime you will achieve the complete union with God? Well, there's no complete union with God because I'm a creation, God is the creator. So there will be no unity. What will be, hopefully for all mankind, is manifesting, right, the divine influence, becoming a vessel, manifesting the image of God and personifying the image of God in which each and every one of us is created. Each and every one of us, right, has a specific mission, a task, a job to complete. And in doing so, in finding out who we are, in knowing ourselves, we get to know who we really are, what our job and task and mission is in this world, and in doing so, right, to help us lead righteous lives and personify the image of God in which we are created. Because just because you are created with the potential of having unity with the divine presence does not mean that you get to do that. It's a question of discipline and commitment and effort. And there's nobody blameless. There's no righteous person who does not sin, right? This is a world of good and evil. The thing is to keep going, to get up no matter how many times you fail, no matter how many times you fall down. What's the phrase? I don't remember who said it. The master has failed more times than the student has even tried, right? So you got to keep going. You got to keep going in the ways of goodness and righteousness, even if you won't be able to reach that ideal because it keeps getting more and more further away from you. Reggie says, Leviticus 11:44, what does it mean to you? I will be quoting the JPS Tanakh of 1917. Hang on a second. JPS Tanakh, for I am the Lord your God. Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy. Right? Kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani. For I am holy, neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of swarming thing that moveth upon the earth. Basically, it says, set yourself apart in what you eat. Set yourself apart because I am the Creator. Emulate my divine revelation. I separate myself in all different ways. The Creator is separate from creation. You, as a creation, should be separate from other nations. So, it means don't defile yourself, not physically, not mentally. Be careful what you put into your body. Be careful what you put into your mind. Be careful about what you wear. Be careful about how you speak. Be careful what you choose to think. Use caution. Use discernment. Try to better yourselves with each passing day with these commandments. Choose life. So that's what it means to me. What does it mean to you, good people? That's, I guess, the bigger question. What does it mean to you to be set apart? What does it mean to you to be consecrated or separated? Are you familiar with Sam Harris and his arguments against religion, Bowler Scott? Yes, I love Sam Harris, and I'm a fan of his. The arguments against religion are many and varied. Can you give me a specific one? What do I think? I mean, I'm familiar with them, though I haven't followed Sam Harris for a long time now since I've heard him speak. The last thing I probably heard was him and Jordan Peterson sitting down to talk for was it the second or third time at the time? And since then, I haven't really been following what he was doing. Look, he's a fan of meditation and mindfulness and all that. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I'm thinking of, as am I. But when it comes to religion, I have a lot of negative things to say and a lot of positive things to say about religion. Just a simple name says, I really enjoy that you stay and spread positivity. Well, you gotta laugh or you gotta cry. And I say there's a time for one and a time for the other, but as long as I am still drawing breath, as long as I am still here, why not laugh? Why not be positive when I can afford to be positive? Because not everybody, right? I'm here. It's 10:38 p.m. I'm in the middle of a war right now. The air raid siren can go off at any minute and I'll have to run to the bomb shelter. But I'm here now with this cup of tea, with this phone, with this laptop, conversing with you good people, engaging with you, learning from you, laughing with you. And it's something I don't take for granted. Once again, and I thank you, each and every one of you, those watching now and later, right? The subs, the views, the likes, the vitriol, the hate, and the spam, and the trolls, and the comments that encourage, and the comments that condemn. It's so wonderful and so beautiful that I get to do this here with you. And it's no small thing. Definitely not a small thing. So if I can do that, why not stay and spread positivity if I can afford to? I'm not positive all of the time. Sometimes I'm a son of a bitch. Sometimes I'm negative. Sometimes I yell. Sometimes I get angry. But I really do make an attempt. This is not some persona that I am manifesting right now. This is truly the way that I am, more or less. But more than less, I must say. And we all have moments of failure. We all have moments of weakness. We all have moments where we fall short of the ideal and fall from grace, right? But as long as I'm here, right now, sitting in the comfort of my own home, which not a lot of people can say, right? With a cup of tea, the lights are on, the kids are asleep, safe and sound in their beds, at least until we need to run to the bomb shelter. It's like, breathe into it. Things are okay for now. And that's all I have is now. And now I choose to spread positivity. Now I choose to see the light and not the darkness. The lens through which you view the world determines the very destiny that you are creating. And people talk to me about the Torah, and I say the Torah has good and bad. The Torah has benevolent sides and malevolent sides, because it's a world of good and evil that we are in. And it's a Torah of good and evil that we are reading, because by the time it comes down into the physical scroll that we read from, or the book that we read from, it's already something that has gone from on high, from the spiritual root, down here. So it says that God looked at the Torah and created the world. Istakel be'oraita uvara alma. And so the root of creation is indeed the Torah. But by the time it reaches this place, there's good and evil in it. There's misandry and misogyny and racism if you want it. And there's benevolence and grace and loving kindness if you want that. And that's what I choose. I pick and choose everything, and I make no apology. So to spread positivity, yes, sometimes even when I can't afford to do it, and I still try to do it. Definitely. All right, let's continue. Down in the chat. TRT says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, according to Proverbs. I appreciate that you are positive, says TRT. Yes, once again, for sure. Can we pray together for the children? A quick prayer, a quick word, right? Because what we say, right? We use words. It's like magic, right? We spell words. Children and adults, humanity at large, may death and war and bloodshed be taken away. Even right now as I am speaking these words, may evil and wickedness and malevolence be lifted out of creation. May we all know times of peace, prosperity, love, justice, respect, honor, humility, and to have our children and their children grow into a world that is not bound by the limitations that we have gotten used to. A world where we have done the work and have transcended our limitations, have transcended our petty differences and our squabblings. Because whether it's territory or religion, whether it's God or I don't know what, we can transcend all of our suffering. We can transcend all of our issues. It may not apply 100% of the time. I don't speak in absolutes, but it's up to each and every one of us. Living in this world behooves us, right? It's our duty and our responsibility to figure out who we are and what we are supposed to be doing in this world. We each have a very unique task to fulfill. Part of that, if you can afford to do it, because not everybody can, is to be a little bit more positive, to make the world a little bit better. Start with yourself, right? Make yourself a little bit better. Widen the radius as you are able to continue and live that life. A prayer for the children, a prayer for the grown-ups, a prayer for the adolescents. My God, to be an adolescent in this day and age, holy crap. We need all the grace and the mercy that we can get. So may we be able to live a life in such a way where we will be able to build up our vessel, make it empty through humility, and have that divine revelation channel through us, spread love and kindness and righteousness in the world. It won't be 100% of the time, but when we can afford to do it, may we be able to do it for us, our families, those around us, and have the radius grow evermore. Dude Bro says, thoughts on Proverbs 34. Okay, once again, going to the JPS Tanakh, Proverbs 34. Who hath gathered the wind? Okay, so mi asaf ruach bechofnav. So here's the thing. It's not talking about Jesus. Obviously, Christians will say the entire Bible is talking about Jesus, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. They can see Jesus throughout the entire 5 books of Moses. They see Jesus from the Bet of Bereshit until the Lamed of Vaya'al of Chronicles. It's like they can see the thread of Jesus, right, threaded throughout the entirety of the Hebrew scripture. All of the prophets, all of the writings, all of the scrolls, all of the poetry, everything is Jesus, 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 Jesus. But I, as a Hebrew man who does not believe that Jesus is King or Messiah or God or Lord or Savior or anything of the thing, I think he's just a dead Hebrew man, a righteous one, but a dead Hebrew man nonetheless. Taking that into account, what I will say is that it is not talking about Jesus. The idea is that this idea of me and ma, these are different aspects of the divine revelation. There is a divine revelation that we associate with me, like there is a divine revelation associated with the inverse, with yam. There is a divine revelation we associate with the word ma. And so it's not a question, it's a statement. It's not who hath gathered the wind in his fists, who hath bound the waters in his garment, who hath established all the ends of the earth, what is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou knowest. You can see it as a question, no doubt, not taking that away from you, but it's a statement, it's not a question. When it says mi and ma, in Hebrew, traditionally, these are indeed question, forms of a question, what and who. But when it comes to the divine revelation and the different, more nuanced ways of looking at the scripture, it's not talking in a form of a question, it's talking in the form of a statement. So, wait, who was that? I'm sorry, I'll go back to the super chat. Dude Bro. So my thoughts on Proverbs are that this is all speaking of different divine emanations and the relationship between them. That is all of the 5 books of Moses. That is what all of the prophets and the writings and the scrolls and the poetry are talking about. All of that is turning us back to Torah, back to the law of Moses. And the Torah, as it says in the Zohar, is all names of the Holy One, blessed be He. The entirety, the whole corpus of the Bible, and more specifically the 5 books of Moses, because the prophets and the writings, they were not told you must canonize this. They did it of their own accord. Certain things were left out, certain things were left in, or rather placed in. And then it was bound and sealed a few hundred years after the destruction of the Second Temple. But they were not commanded to do that. The Torah was indeed commanded to be written down, and each tribe had its scroll, and the king is commanded to write a scroll of Torah, and so on and so forth. But the Proverbs, for instance, there was no commandment to write down the Proverbs. There was no command to write down the Proverbs. And yet it was done, and it was kept, canonized, and laid as heritage, right, for us to follow, because there is wisdom in it. And so, yes, you can look at the face level of it being a question, sure. Even in the form of a question, it's not a question of a father and son in the physical world. It's a question of a father and son as the way that the divine revelation relates to the human being. We are fathers, we are sons. God is not neither this nor that, but there is a revelation called Father, Chokhmah. There is a revelation called Son, Tiferet. And so when you look at it that way, you're able to discern a little bit more. Plus, there are the traditional Pardes, 4 ways of learning the Torah and the prophets and the writings, different commentaries and different editions that have been. It's like there's so much to go in there, but to say that it's Jesus and an actual Son, a God incarnate, the whole Trinity thing, that is not a Hebrew way of thinking as far as I'm concerned, nor does it align with the Torah, because there is no God incarnate in the Torah. I hope that addresses your question, dude bro, and thank you for asking. Okay, let's continue. The Dark Lord said, you've earned a subscriber and like in me. Thanks, Dark Lord. I appreciate it. And, thank you for the vote of confidence. I won't hold you to it. P-Town Mark says, do you think that the last valid time for peace between Israel and the Palestinian people was when Yasser Arafat was alive? No, the most valid time for peace is right now. And that is with every passing moment. Now is the time for peace. Now is the time for peace. Now, every passing second is a time for peace, right? There's a time for war and a time for peace. That's what it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, Et milchama ve'et shalom. We must have peace. I don't know if we arrive through war. That's how we got peace with Jordan. That's how we got peace with Egypt. And maybe that's the way it will happen with Syria and with Lebanon and with Iran and with Iraq. And, and maybe with the Abraham Accords, we won't need to fight, and they will be able to finally accept that there is a Hebrew people in the Hebrew land. We will be able to live here alongside our neighbors in peace, God willing. Lu Yehi, may it be so. But, right now there's war going on and conflict, and I really wish that it would end. I really, really do. At what cost? That's the question. So the time, the last valid time is right now. Coming into existence all the time. That's the time to make peace. Okay, let's continue. The Hebrew people are Palestinians, says Wheelingly Dealing. Yes, the Hebrew people held a Palestinian passport when they were living under the British Mandate of Palestine. That much is correct. And The Romans called this place Syria Palestina, so for a time until the exile, we were Palestinians. We were Syrian Palestinians when Rome called this place the Syrian Palestine province. That's what they called it. They called it that to make the Jews forget about Judea. They told them, nope, now it's no longer the kingdom of Judah, now it's no longer Judea. You guys are exiles, and this place is now a Roman colony called Syria Palestina. And they called it that because the Assyrians kicked out the 10 lost tribes, and the Philistines, even though they were not one of the 7 nations that Israel were commanded to eradicate, they were a pain in the Israeli ass after the conquest of Joshua and the army. So, Syria Palestina were basically 2 enemies of the Hebrew people, 2 traditional enemies of the Hebrew people, and that's why the Romans called them that, to spite the people of Judea, and to make them forget about Judea, to make them forget about Jerusalem, forget about the temple. However, the Romans fell, and we are here. Of course, Italy is still there, Rome is still there, the Roman Catholic religion is still heavily here. Nobody's disputing that. But the Roman Empire is gone. Remnants of it exist, of course, but it's basically gone. And we are still here. Okay, let's continue. If I had to give, says Legion Commander, speaking of Romans, if I had to give the Jews a trust level from 1 to 10, I'd say they are a 2 right now, heading to a 1. That's generous. Thank you for the 2, and thank you for the 1. Definitely, I appreciate it. Hebrew Nazarene. No, Nazarene is of Nazareth, or a Christian who does not follow the apostles, but follows a different path. I'm not a Nazarene, I'm a Nazarite. If God revealed to you that he is Jesus, would you believe in Jesus and worship him as Jesus? If God revealed to me that he is Jesus, I'm inclined to say that I would not initially trust that revelation, and I would probably, in that case, go to a Kabbalist or to one of my old-time rabbis from my yeshiva days and ask them what they think. So I would not immediately believe in Jesus and worship God as Jesus or Jesus as God. If there was a revelation, right, because revelation can be tricky, because I'm mortal man. That's all that I am. So I could be thinking that I'm getting something from the light side when in fact I'm getting something from the dark side. I might be thinking that it's from the side of holiness and purity, right, and righteousness, but in fact it's the sitra achra, it's the dark side, it's the other side, it's the side of impurity. How am I supposed to tell the difference? How am I supposed to discern? What if I have pathologized my own being to such an extent and to such a degree that I can no longer trust my intuition in matters of the spirit? And I'm going to assume that that's the case and consult with people who are better, wiser, higher, if you will, than me. And friends, and neighbors, and family, before I make such a move that is so anti-Torah and antithetical to the law of Moses, I would definitely take pains to figure it out and not put trust in my own misunderstanding, because there's a very good chance that that is exactly what that is. There are different stories of Kabbalists, even right now in this day and age, rabbis, Kabbalists, who received instructions from who they thought were messengers, angelic messengers, and they were later found guilty of all kinds of sexual misconduct, and married women who came to consult with them, they took advantage and they raped and because they were actually thinking they were doing the will of God. They were actually thinking, truly, honestly, that they were going with what they perceived to be divine instruction through angelic messengers of the holy kind, of the proper kind. But the reality shows that it's probably not what happened, and they were receiving instructions from, let's say, demonic entities, right? From the dark side of the force. So if they can fall and fail, I fall and fail on a regular basis. I'm not a rabbi. I'm not a Kabbalist. So I would definitely go and consult with somebody who knows more and who is better equipped to tell me how to go about discerning. I won't necessarily follow blindly what they tell me. I would ask, how do I discern? How do I act in such a way where I will be able to know? To know, in the biblical sense, let's say, and in the Sfirot is to have union, to have unity. To truly know something is to enter it, like a man enters into the body of a woman and knows her. So, I would have to reach that level of understanding to have belief, because belief and faith is not something that we are commanded to have in the Torah. We don't need to have belief. This is not a Torah of belief. This is not a religion of faith. This is a religion of doing, of commandments, of action, right? Of carrying out a physical covenant. So, of course, with the spiritual tied right alongside it and in part of it. But there is no commandment to believe. There is no commandment to have faith. There's a commandment to do. And this is a doing Torah. It's a doing tradition. It's a doing religion. And so I would have to really, really know before I believe or do. That's what I would have to say. Okay. I think a super chat came in while I was ranting just now. Okay. Dude Bro says, Isaiah 9:6, thoughts on this? Let's go. Isaiah 9:6, JPS Tanakh of 1917. Oh, whoops. Wait. I pressed print screen. No, I don't want a print screen. I want the JPS Tanakh. JPS Tanakh. Ah, what a great passage. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwelt in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That's 1. Is that what you wanted? Hang on. No, 9:6. Okay. That the government may be increased. Ooh, right. That the government may be increased, and of peace there will be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it, through justice and through righteousness, from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts doth perform this. Okay. So first of all, like I said, the prophets, the writings, and all the scrolls are there to turn you back to the 5 books of Moses. They are there to turn you back, to return you to the covenant, to Torah, to make tshuva, as it's known. So, the prophets don't take precedence over the Torah. The writings, right? There's a hierarchy here, right? Torah, prophets, writings. It's a very plain and simple traditional hierarchy. And one cannot, let's say, take precedence over the other in matters of doing and of the spirit. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically the case. So let's take this and say, the government may be increased, right? Of peace there be no end, upon the throne of David, upon his kingdom, to establish it. This has to do with Malchut. This has to do with the Sphira, with the emanation known as Malchut. Okay, from henceforth even forever. Let's look at the Hebrew for a second. Yeshayahu tet vav. Yeshayahu tet vav. Right, Isaiah 9:6 in the Hebrew. It just helps me a lot to see it in the Hebrew. Okay. למרבה המשרה ולשלום אין קץ, על כיסא דוד ועל ממלכתו להכין אותה ולסעדה במשפט ובצדקה מעתה ועד עולם קנאת אדוני צבאות תעשה זאת. Yes. Okay, here's the thing. We see here that it speaks of Malchut, right, the chair of David, and of Yesod, which is the chair on which the king sits. It talks of Mishpat. It talks of Tzedakah. Hold on, now I'll go back to the English, right? It talks of, where is it? No, not Proverbs. Hang on a second, sorry. Here. Okay? It talks about justice and righteousness. It talks about henceforth and forever. These are all names of different divine revelations. This verse, like all of the other verses in Isaiah, it's not simply a prophecy of that which will come or that which was, that wisdom can be learned and gleaned from. It actually teaches you something about your own nature. That's why certain prophets stayed in and were compiled in the Bible. That's why certain prophecies of those very prophets were left out, while others were kept in. Again, because it had to have wisdom there and prophecy that did not merely pertain to the time and place when they were prophesying, but to those who will be reading it henceforth, now, here, in this world, in this time, in this place. And if there are things which happened, or which came to pass, or have not come to pass yet, it also has to do with me right now, Yonatan, the individual, and the way that I perceive divine revelation and the way that I act in the world. So when I see a verse like this, speaking of government, Hamisra, right? And when it speaks of peace, when it speaks of justice, when it speaks of tzedakah, righteousness, when it speaks of what is it? Of kin'ah, when it speaks of Lord of hosts, Adonai Tzvaot. These are all different names that pertain to different divine revelations and the relationships between them. Okay? So when I read a verse like this, I don't take it at face value and say, oh, it must talk about Jesus, or it must talk about some sort of Messiah. Maybe it does. Some things you only understand retroactively. What you can understand in the here and now is how does it pertain to me, here and now, not in the ether of the intellect, not in some unknown future when a king will sit on this throne, but here and now in how I behave in the world, the words that I speak, the actions that I perform, the way that I pray, the way that I raise my kids, whatever the case may be. There is something in this prophecy, there is something in this verse that if I look at it can speak to me because I am created in the image of God, right? And all of these names, like Adonai Tzvaot, that exists within me. The name, not God, the name can exist within me. All of these attributes, righteousness, justice, peace, government, these all pertain to different divine revelations. And it has to do with me, here and now, as much as it has to do with the king of Israel and the government of Israel. Not political, I mean governing council, Sanhedrin, right? It speaks here of righteousness, mishpat, justice. This speaks of the Sanhedrin, plainly, of kingship, of elders, of something that will last even forever. Even this word forever, right? What is it in Hebrew? Hang on a second. Me'ata ve'ad olam. Ata, et, has a meaning. It's attributed to a certain divine revelation. Ve'ad olam, forever. It's not a measure of time. Ad olam means until the world. That is literally what it means in Hebrew. It doesn't mean forever. It means until the world. Ad olam. That world has meaning. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, hang on a second. I'll get back to your question. No, I'm not avoiding the question. I'm literally answering it right now. So those are my thoughts on this. Who could this be? So, plainly speaking, it's the Messiah. The final Messiah, right? Because there could be many before him. The final Messiah, the one who will come at the end, shall we say, that is also the beginning, of the house of David, of the tribe of Judah, who will bring this paradigm shift, not just to Israel, but for all creation, usher us into humanity phase 2, right? The next stage of humanity, when we are all one, back in Eden, partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. Right now, we are stuck in a world between worlds. We are stuck in that place between Friday, where we sinned and missed the mark and were cast out, and the Edenic Sabbath, which never took place, right? Mankind was created, as we say, on Friday afternoon, and then, or Friday noon, and then, as we were getting close to the Edenic Sabbath, we were kicked out, and so we never got to experience that Edenic Sabbath, what is called the world to come, or the coming world. That is what we are doing here. We are in a world between worlds, trying to reach back to Eden, back to partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. In order to do that, we must master this world of good and evil, push it towards the good, and merit that world to come by our own actions, by our own virtue. So who could this be? It's the king. It's the final king. That's what I'm thinking. Is it Jesus? No, because he is dead. Also, if it was Jesus, then the temple was destroyed shortly after his death, according to historians and researchers and whatnot, and Christians alike, by the way. So it wasn't him. We see this retroactively, if not at the time, retroactively we see throughout the course of history, he was not that final Messiah. So even if you make the claim that he was a king, he was an anointed one, king of the Jews, king of Israel, king of Judea, whatever it is, he was just one king of many, like others who were before him, but not the final Messiah. And that's where Christians come and say, oh, no, there's a second coming of this dude. It's like, nope, that's not the way the Hebrew faith works usually. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying that's not something that we as Hebrew people put our stock in, a second coming. Usually, even when it says David will be king, right? It's said to be a descendant of David, of the line of David. Now, there is such a thing as resurrection, right? That is that time of partaking of the fruit of tree of life. And the world of good and evil and death that came into the world came in after we partook of the tree of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. When we complete that mission, when we complete that task, when we master that, we will be able to take death out of the equation and partake of the fruit of the tree of life without a blemish because we earned it. All right, let's continue. Narvazan says, many people in the chat think Christians are abused in Israel, which is far from the truth. Christians, Muslims, and Druze live equal to Jews in Israel. Yes, that is true. However, what is also true, it's acting weird here a little bit. What is also true is that there are people, and I condemn them and their actions, people who do teach their kids to spit on heathens, to spit on Christians, and to basically mistreat others to the degree that they can do that because they are not Jewish and they are in the Jewish homeland, and so they are second class, let's say, if not fifth or sixth class. And that's not cool. I'm not a fan of that at all, and like I said, I condemn that. I think it's a heinous thing, really heinous thing. There is a lot of people do horrible things to Christians. It's very much a minority, but it is an ongoing thing. So it's not to be ignored. Even if it is just a minority, and it is, just like he said, Druze, Christians, Muslims, Arabs, Rastas, Baha'i, Hindus, Chinese, Shintos, whatever. They are all treated equally here by the majority of the people. We seek to live in peace. However, there are people, usually the judgy-wudgy religious holier-than-thou types, who think they are better than others and they can spit on other people for not being Jewish and for being in the Jewish homeland. That's probably wrong, and I think it's a horrible way to behave, and it's a horrible thing to teach your kids. And even if you're going to teach them to spit, even if you say it's halacha, so wait until they pass you by and spit, discreetly, like on the ground. But don't spit at them. That's a human being. Are you stupid? Ugh. So yeah, there are definitely people who do that. I'm not gonna say no, but it's a minority. However, it's an ongoing thing. So even though it is a minority, it is a persistent minority, and that is definitely not okay. Definitely not okay. Okay. Blachman Wedding says, which yeshivas did you attend? I attended the yeshiva of Tzfat for 3 years, and then after the army, I had 1 year in Tkoa. And it was lovely, and I would love to do that again. And what was your upbringing like, so you are now a Nazir? I grew up modern Orthodox here in Jerusalem. I took my Nazarite vow about 15 years ago. I simply, I grew up religious. I kept strict halacha. I grew peot. I was never a chassid, but I did follow certain chassidic teachings, and I still do, for that matter. The thing is that in my mid-20s, because of different circumstances, I had a bit of a crisis when it came to organized religion. I had a bit of a crisis with the way that I did not see things align with how I was being taught a Hebrew man and woman should behave. And I saw the religious leaders and crowds and rabbis as lacking and wanting. Not to say that I'm not, definitely I am, but I could not abide. And so I decided I needed to go on my own path, on my own way, and not leave Torah, not leave orthodoxy, but take a step back from strict halacha and not associate myself with any denomination or sect or religion or religious, teaching of any specific kind, to be a Hebrew man of Torah. And that's what I seek to be, and that's all that I am. An Am Haaretz, right? Just an ignoramus, a man of the people. That's all I am, right? Am Haaretz, a man of the land. The Nazirut is something that I took on about 15 years ago, and I was called to it even before that. And looking back, I understand that I was called to it even years before that, but it took time to sort of mature the decision. But it was basically, my Nazirut is it's a physical externalization, a physical manifestation of a spiritual covenant that I made with Adonai, right? That's what this is, and I decided I want to do my own thing and go by my own path, detrimental and dangerous though it may be. And it is. But I could not ignore the call that I was receiving. So I answered that call, and I took on a Nazariteship. And I am a Samson Nazarite for life, God willing, and I hope to go to my grave still under this vow. So yeah, Tzfat for 3 years and Tkoa for 1 year. The year that I was in Tkoa was after the army. I was learning half a day and working half a day, and I was still technically in the army, just not in uniform, right? It was a Hesder. Incidentally, I wanted to continue for another year and a half in mandatory service, but they said, no need. I told them, look, let me go home every day. I was a medic, right? Put me in an infirmary close to home, and I'll be able to do the 3 years instead of a year and 7 months or whatever it is that I did. Because it's not fair. It truly is not fair. But they told me, nope, we don't want you to complete your service to 3 years. Go back to the yeshiva. And they let me work for half a day. So I was learning in the morning and working afternoon, evening. It was lovely. Truly it was. Okay. Dirty motor oil. I like that. Question from a newly saved sinner. Aren't we all, huh? Why are Christians so obsessed with blood? I don't know. I'm not a Christian. You'll have to ask Christians why they're obsessed with whatever it is that they are obsessed with. I don't know if Christians are obsessed with anything per se. That's making a very broad generalization. But I would lamb's blood, washed in blood, drink his blood. No other religion loves or talks about blood so much. Any help? Amen. Yes, because from what I've gathered from Christians and followers of Jesus who spoke to me, just like the Torah says that there is no atonement but with the blood, so they say in order to atone, you need the blood of Jesus. In order to atone, you need to believe that you are saved through your belief in your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, right? Yeshu Anotzri, Jesus, the anointed one. That's what Christ means, anointed one. And so he died for our sins, they say. He took on the sorrows and the sufferings of all the world, and through him we are saved. He made the final atonement. He completed the prophecies. He fulfilled all of the Old Testament. And so now there's no need for it. And through faith in this one thing called Jesus, you gain everything. And through his blood, you are saved. That's, I think, why they do that. Because they believe it is the epitome of atonement. We, however, as Hebrew people without a temple, know that prayer, meditation, doing good deeds, leading a righteous life, these are the sacrifices. This is the blood. When we fast, for instance, and our blood is lessened for it, there's a prayer you say, may it be as if blood and fat was given on the temple, right? Put on the altar of the temple. And when we choose righteousness instead of wickedness, and when we choose benevolence instead of malevolence, and when we try truly to tame our wild nature in the ways of Torah and give every wild thing its proper time and place, to act with humility. This is the sacrifice. It's our blood that we are technically, not figuratively, right, shedding in deciding, despite it all, to go in the ways of Torah, to bind ourselves to the ways of our fathers and mothers before us, and to keep to the covenant of Shabbos, the covenant of Tefillin, a covenant of marriage, right, the covenant of the Shema, if you will. All of those things that Hebrew people traditionally consider to be a covenant, the covenant of circumcision in the flesh of the Hebrew man, that's something, right? And the inner covenant, the spiritual covenant in the insides of the Hebrew woman. Okay. Let's continue. Oh, wait, I saw something and then the chat jumped. Hang on a second. No. I don't know where it was. I saw something, but I don't remember it precisely, so I won't misquote. Okay. Breza says, the more you listen to this people, the more you actually start believing this satanic religion. Well, look, Satan has his place. Satan is the adversary. Satan represents, Satan literally means adversary in Hebrew. And if you have no adversary and you're not put under any pressure, then you cannot transcend your own limitations. Right? You need to have some drama in this world. You need to have something to struggle with. You need to have something to contend with. You need to have something to maybe push back against. It will make you better for the experience. You gain wisdom through the experience. And so the adversary is just a servant of Adonai, doing his job, doing it very well, mind you. And it's my job, right? It's his job to set the stage. And it's my job not to fall for his BS. He's doing a better job than I am right now when it comes to me, that's for sure. But yes, it's a satanic religion in the sense of many people do think that we are indeed the adversarial element, that we are the church of Satan, that we are the synagogue of Satan, that we Satan, we worship Moloch, we worship, all those foreign things. And, we're pedophiles, we sacrifice cats and children at graveyards at midnight and all that stuff for whatever reason. They want to put all of the adversarial elements of creation on the Jews, when in fact, it's basically a lot of other nations who have been adversarial towards us. Not for naught, right? We are outsiders and we separate ourselves and people take issue with that. But the people of Israel in many ways stand alone in the sense of, again, who they are, how they worship, their traditions, their customs, their Torah. We don't stand alone physically, we have allies, right? And we have different agreements with other nations, other countries, and so that's a wonderful thing. I'm not going against that. But there is a very lonely path, right? Rav Soloveitchik spoke of the lonely man of faith, the lonely man of halacha. Thoughts on Isaiah 7:14, Dude Bro says. Let's go back to the JPS Tanakh. I'm in Hebrew. JPS, Isaiah 7:14. Let's read. Verse 14 says, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, the young woman shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Immanuel." So yes, many people say this is virgin. This is a misinterpretation based on the Targum HaShiv'im, the Septuagint it's called, right? The translation of 70 languages. But it actually says Alma. Alma means young woman. It doesn't mean virgin. Also, even if we grant that proposition and say that there is a virgin that gave birth, we can look back to Sarah and say, by the same token, a little bit different, but by the same token, there was a woman who was postmenopausal who got her period back magically. And not only that, she got pregnant, carried the baby to term, and had a son. So if Sarah, who's 90, can get her menstruation blood flowing again, and conceive, and carry it to term, and give birth, then let's say that a virgin can give birth. Let's just grant that proposition and say that this woman, let's say, whoever she was a virgin, her hymen was intact, no man ever entered her, she was entered by the Holy Spirit, an angel entered her, okay, let's say, and made her conceive, and there was a baby human born without her knowing a man, without physical sperm and semen entering into her orifice. And does this mean this person is God? No. It means that it was a miraculous thing that happened. Miracles always happen. Wait, I'm sorry, I need to mute the phone. I think that's one of my boys calling. He'll wait. He's probably calling to say he's on his way back. As long as I was interrupted by his phone call, it's 11:17 p.m. I've been speaking for just over an hour and a half. I want to say thank you. I'm not leaving yet, but I do want a quick aside to say thank you to each and every one of you, those watching now, those watching later. I don't take it for granted. I do not that I press go live and we have a discussion here and people are donating to charity. And incidentally, all the super chats, the super thanks, and what is it? One other thing, the different supers that you can donate to. I don't keep any of it. It's all going to charity. So far we have, I need to fill out the tax information in the YouTube AdSense and whatnot. So it's waiting right now to come into the bank account. Once it does come into my bank account, I will be as transparent as I possibly can with the money, with how it's going in, where it's going. I'll have a poll. So don't be afraid. If you want to give anything, it will go to charity, and hopefully a charity of your choosing, not individually, right? It'll be a poll. But yes, I want to, if there is ever a sponsor, if I ever get any brand deals, then that money I will only give a tithe and keep the rest. But any money that is made through the YouTube platform itself, right, through the super chat and the super thanks and whatever it is, the other one, and the ads, it will all go to charity, God willing. So the money from the last couple of months has not yet been transferred into my bank account. I still need to, like I said, fill in some tax information, because I'm also a citizen of the U.S. abroad, so it's a bit tricky. But It will be done, and you will be a part of it. And I thank you, each and every one of you, for every shekel. And the views, the likes, the subs, the comments, good and bad, the trolls and the spammers and the well-wishers. It's so lovely, truly. Okay, Narvazan says, people need to understand that Jesus practiced the Torah, preached in synagogues, challenged and elevated the teachings of the rabbis, Pharisees. Now, there is a difference in some ways between Chazal and the Purushim, but yes, basically they are kind of lumped together. Our sages of the Second Temple era and the Purushim, for all intents and purposes here, are one and the same, and that is very much correct. According to the New Testament, he kept the Torah. He himself says, I have not come to take even one letter away from the Torah, right? I have come to actualize it, to carry it out before you. This is what you ought to be doing. And I feel that many times, I think when he says, pick up your cross and let go of your possessions and follow me, he doesn't mean follow me as a God. He means do what I do. Go with it. Go all in on the Torah. Go all in on your covenant. So yeah, when you say people need to understand Narvazan, I don't know what people you mean, but certainly that is the case. He lived and died a Hebrew man, and even though there are the sages who say that he put up a sigil of the moon, right, and he's burning in boiling excrement in hell, in Gehinnom, it's not hell, it's more purgatory, but that's beside the point. I do believe that if what it says in the gospel is correct, that yes, he practiced the Torah, he preached in synagogues, he challenged and elevated the teachings of the rabbis, and according to at least one opinion in the Talmud, he was indeed a sage and the student of Rabbi Hoshua ben Prachya. And that's no small thing, not in the least. So yeah. Now when you say people need to understand that, I wonder what you mean, because I think Christians, from what I've gathered, do understand that, but they don't quite make the connection to the modern day Jews, and some of them go wholly against that connection. Hey, Nathan is here with flags of Israel. Sonic is here with flags of Palestine. I hate you sick fuck, says Connor. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. To your good health, Connor. I am indeed a sick fuck, I'll give you that. Fallen Knight says, sir, there's a difference between good, proper Jews and the ones who only call themselves Jewish to do their evil acts and gain benefit. But that's true to any society. That's true to any civilization. You'll have the good people and you'll have the schmucks. So what are you going to do? People will do awful things in the name of God, all the while thinking that they are doing the will of God and carrying out in righteousness what they believe to be straight and true and honest. It's like, what are you going to do about that? That's why I don't debate people. I'm not here to debate people, I'm just here to converse with people, and that's partly why. Because there will be people who, no matter what, will refuse to entertain the idea that maybe they have more to learn, maybe they are partly in the wrong, maybe what they are getting, the instructions they are getting, is not from an angelic or holy or pure place, but from a dirty and, and demonic place, so to speak. Okay, let's continue. YouTube verify system, says Big Mike. This live is an official LGBTQ plus verified safe space. Host is a confirmed LGBTQ plus community member. Thanks a bunch. So here's the deal. I am straight, I am gay, I'm a lesbian, I'm non-binary, I'm bisexual, and I'm a two-spirit pigeon. That's pretty much what I am. That's what I go by. I also identify as an attack helicopter and a flat-top M4 assault rifle. That is my deal. That is what I am. Okay. Habibiz says your hairline is messed. Yes, it is. Ain't that great? I think it is. Certified Luddite says, please explain the difference between the Jewish people and the Israeli government. Well, not everybody who is Jewish lives in Israel. So that's pretty much a clear cut, right? Half of the world's Jewry, approximately, does not live in Israel. So they don't go by this government, nor are they governed by this government. The Jewish people are the 12 tribes of Israel, and not all of them. In fact, the majority of them, if you consider the 10 lost tribes, the majority of, they're not Jewish, they're Hebrew Israelites, whatever, not Hebrew Israelites, Hebrew of the Israelite tribes. Like the people who call themselves Jewish are the remnants of the kingdom of Judah. Most of the people did not make it back from Babylon. Most of the people did not make it back from the exile of Edom. The 10 lost tribes never made it back from the exile of Assyria. So we are dealing with the remnants of what was once the kingdom of Judah, who now call themselves Jews and who came back to Judea. But the main difference is that you don't have to be Israeli to be Jewish, and you don't have to be Jewish to be Israeli. That's a pretty major difference. There are many Jews, liberal, left-leaning Jews, who despise the Israeli establishment, who despise the Israeli army, who despise the Israeli government, and they are Jewish. Whether it's ethnically, by blood, biologically, blah, 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 they're Jewish. So, yeah, a big difference indeed. Yes, that's correct. Yes, that's right. Yeah, you know what? Never mind.
What?
No, you can't call him because I'm using the laptop and the phone.
I can.
No, you can't. Oh, so call him, please. You're supposed to be in bed, man. It's been an hour and a half since you were supposed to be in bed.
No.
Dude.
What?
Come on now. All right. Do you support kaparot and metzitza b'peh, says Michael. Kaparot is a heinous thing. I don't like it. I do mine with money and not with a chicken. As for metzitza b'peh, I am a fan of that, but not with the mouth. Do it with an apparatus, a single-use sterile apparatus, and don't risk transferring any kind of infections, diseases, I don't know what, with the mouth. Also, of the 3 rites of circumcision... Oh, that's not good. Right, that's right, his phone is dead. There are 3 rites, right? There are 3 stages of the male circumcision according to the Hebrew covenant of Abraham, which is milah, pri'ah, metzitza. Milah is making the incision and cutting off the foreskin. Pri'ah is spreading the skin. Metzitza is sucking out the blood, right? Sucking out some of the blood of the wound. The thing is that they used to do this with the mouth. And now it should not be done with the mouth. Some say, right, the 2 major ones are milah and pri'ah. Metzitza is not 100% necessary, some people say halachically, for the circumcision to be valid. Milah and pri'ah you must have. Metzitza you maybe can have it, maybe you can't, depending on what you go by. So that's what I have to say about that. And definitely don't do it with your mouth. Do it with an apparatus. Yes. All right. Let's continue. Oh, you know what? I should probably say goodbye. It's 11:30 almost p.m. Yes, it's 11:30. I think we're going to say goodbye. People, this has been amazing, truly, and I cherish it. If I missed you in the chat, again, it's not because I am ignoring you. It's not because I'm passing you by. It's because it's going very, very quickly. I answer or address. What's to answer? I address a question and then I move on and I scroll down to the next question. That's there, at random, pretty much. So, leave a comment. I address every single comment that is addressed to me. So please, if I missed you in the chat, my apologies, mea culpa, mea culpa. Leave a comment. I will address it when I see it. YouTube doesn't notify me of all the comments that I get, but I try and I do my best to go back into older videos of recent, in recent times, and find comments that maybe YouTube did not notify me of for whatever reason, or things that YouTube censored, or things that were, I don't know what. So I do make it a point, and I make an effort to address every single comment that is addressed to me. If I missed you in the chat, sorry, my apologies. Leave a comment, I will get to it. And I thank you, those watching now, those watching later. It's amazing, truly. God willing, I will see you next time for the next live stream when whenever it will be, where the wonders never cease. I love it that I was able to do this without the air raid siren going off and no missile attacking Jerusalem, or missiles. No missiles attacking Jerusalem right now. May it remain quiet and peaceful. May the Iranian people be able to overthrow their extremist religious regime. I don't know what will be in its stead, but it's gone too far. They need to make a move. They must make a move. They must. I'm not living there. I don't know. Far be it from me to judge them, but it looks like they ought to be doing something soon. I don't know what the circumstances, will be, or how it will have to arrange itself for them to rise up to the streets and take their country back. I don't know how it will happen, but I hope that it will. They've suffered long enough. whether it's from their own regime or the US bombing them or Israel bombing them. It's just a mess, and I want this war to end and for the outcome to be one of peace, prosperity, and security for everyone involved. So until the next time, be blessed, be a blessing to others, be the light in other people's lives, be the reason why somebody stops and looks and goes, damn, maybe there is a God. Maybe there are still good people in the world. Forget God. There are good people in the world. Be one of those people. May you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, night, whoever you are, wherever you are. I appreciate you being here. God willing, I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye from Jerusalem. Peace, love, Echaim.